Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Penny and I'm coming to you today from Northern Ontario, Canada. Today's video is going to be a show and tell. The first thing I finished was my granddaughter's shirt that matches mine. It's the exact same pattern that I used for my shirt, and it's the almond crisp cairn cake, same yarn, everything. It worked out really well. I like it, she likes it, and I'm gonna put together a presentation. I'm not calling it a tutorial because tutorial stresses me out, so I'm gonna put a presentation together on how to make that. The next thing I created was out of some Bernat blanket yarn that my daughter had given me for Mother's Day in my flower bouquet that she made me. I made some reusable water balloons. We're having a little function here later in July, and I thought it would be fun for the kids to be able to play with some water balloons. So I made a dozen of those. The next thing I finished this week was dishcloth. Typical lemon peel. This one's multicolored because I found out my daughter-in-law doesn't like the ones with the white, so I'm looking at all my cotton, trying to get some colorful ones picked out so I can make her some. And then the next thing I finished was Terry at Yarnjoy podcast put out a tutorial for this Octopus. It's a Preemie baby toy. She did a really good job on the tutorial. I enjoyed making it. I've decided I'm going to put a hanger in the end of it, in the top here, and hang stitch markers off of them. I have a plant hook in my craft room that I'm going to hang them off of, and then hang the stitch markers off of it. It's like my set as tree, sort of, only it's an octopus. I've already put these stitch markers on. These are the stitch markers I won from the Yarn Closet here on YouTube in January. She does a quarterly draw every quarter, and I won her January's draw. And these are Braille stitch markers, which I think are special and unique. When it's hanging there in the window, with the window open, the breeze will give it a bit of a wind chime effect. The next thing I finished was my fudget shawl. I really enjoyed this cowl. It's put on by Jayda Crochet and the Canadian Crocheter. It ended July 1st. And what the idea was, shall we fudge it, was what the hashtag was for it. And it's a make it up as you go shawl. I just used granny stitches and my beloved Jayda in Stitches fan and V-stitch, and then because I had done the All Crafts channel tutorial for the poncho, I put some loop stitches in it. That's where I run into trouble, was in my loop stitches. I put one too many loops, and when I got to the loop and realized I had too many of them, I was going to have to tear back 2 rows, and that wasn't the idea of the crochet along. It was you're supposed to fudge it and make it work. So I pulled out the 5 trebles that were holding the loop before it, folded over the loop, and then I trebled over the 2 loops together, and you can't even tell. Well, not that anybody that really crochets has had that good of a look at it. The only disappointment I really have in this shawl is the little flower edging that I put on it. I think my hook was too big and it's left the flowers too floppy. So I think I'm going to go back with some other white wool and see if I can cinch them in a bit, because I would like to be able to wear this more than just around the house. So we'll see. See where that ends up. The Jayda in Stitches calendar blanket from 2019 is sitting exactly in the chair where I put it a week ago. I have not touched it. I have not moved it out of the chair. I have taken up sitting on the sofa instead. but I will get to it. Sorry about reaching. And my grandmother flower bed Afghan, I started putting it together, and I didn't like the way that the V-stitches were droopy. It was kind of floppy. It had no stability to it at all. So I have started picking out the edges of my last round on the squares and just using granny stitches and putting them together that way. It's going to take a bit of time, but there's no sense of trying to finish something that you're not in love with because you don't finish it. That's how it works around here anyhow. I would like to thank Debbie at the Canadian Crocheter for the shout out last week. My channel has exploded. I'm excited. I'm overwhelmed. I'm scared. I kind of feel silly for having a 100 subscriber giveaway now with over 400. But I didn't know at the time of that making of that video why I had received so many subscribers. I look forward to having conversations with all of you. If you leave any questions in the comments, I'm trying to answer them. I've had a couple of requests to show how to do things. I intend to try to make those tutorials, and that's about it. I guess I'll be back tomorrow with a giveaway winner announcement. Thank you and have a nice night.